Hey everybody, this is Rydo. It is April 3rd and we are back to another recording session of Hearthstone. The Year of Mammoth is still happening, Year of the Mammoth, and so we're getting daily rewards. So I can click on that and we can see what our third quest for today is. And I have, I believe, one pack here I can open just as the beginning celebrations. And the end of the month has happened, and I'm gonna have to turn down the audio. I forgot about doing that. Hey, I also forgot to turn on a timer, which that certainly would help too. A lot of extra work going on to live streaming this. I wanted to make a specific mention going forward of the day I'm recording, because frankly I'm no longer pre-recording these, or my main focus isn't to pre-record Hearthstone videos, so therefore I want to talk about things as they're happening instead of things as they happened months and months ago. So let's see, we've got some new cards that we must have picked up at some point. A new Wisps of the Old Gods. That's a pretty good card, actually. Whispers of the Old Gods. May have been the name. We have a gold version here that we can disenchant for 50 dust, because I don't keep any gold versions. Frankly, any new player in Hearthstone, don't even bother trying to get gold versions unless you're going to put hundreds of dollars into the game, because it's just not gonna, you're not gonna have a complete set. The way cards come in and go out, it happens way too fast. Let's see, I'm also still suffering from wireless networking issues, which might be a problem here as we do this. I still cannot for the life of me figure out what's going on with my wireless network. It seems just at random occurrences it decides to lose internet connection on the wireless and nothing else. And I have no reason. I've changed all the settings I can think of. I guess I'll try something different next time. But focusing on Hearthstone, we need to get 5 victories with the Druid or Hunter, 5 victories with the Paladin Priest, and 3 victories with the Warlock. So let's start just with the Druid or Hunter. And I think we did Hunter before. Oh yes, and a new month happened. So I think I have a new card back. Yes, the Year of the Kraken card back. We'll switch over there. And now no, that was the wrong button. Here, Druid or Hunter is what we're starting with. No Tavern Brawl. Don't really want to spend things on. Now Druid, is this the Druid or the Paladin? Well, this is the Priest, this is the Druid, and this is the Hunter. And we need to play ranked because the new month has happened too. So we'll start with secrets and then go to beast and then go to overload, and we'll just try and cycle through all of those at least once, moving through this to get the 5 victories that we might actually get to 5 victories a little bit faster. Last recording in particular, last recording session went really long. And this is the issue I've been talking about for a long time as far as Hearthstone, and I haven't been really recording it, is you just get into these losing streaks. Particularly when you have a quest that says you have to win. It just doesn't happen, because they want you to have a 50% win ratio. Right now you can look on my Hearthstone deck tracker, and it has a 50% win ratio there, but like that's not helpful in any sense. I'm gonna hold on to this one and then switch the other two. It takes forever to get these victories, and we went 3 hours, at least 3 hours last recording session, and I still didn't get everything done. Finally, I ran out of things to talk about, and I just put my foot down at the end and said, look, I'll just play this off screen. And then I spent another 30 minutes of gameplay about getting things done. Now, as soon as I stopped streaming, it seems to always happen that things get a lot easier, and I don't know why that is the case, but it does. Maybe it's because I'm just focusing more. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but that's certainly not what I would want to have happened. Let's go ahead and play this. And then return. There's a few big things that are to talk about today, but in general, not a lot. April Fool's Day, April 1st, April Fool's Day, not days, thank goodness, really screwed up the news. It really does for like all news going forward for a while. I have this idea where maybe what's getting talked about in the news isn't actual news, and it's just an April Fool's Day thing, and what gets posted that you know is an April Fool's Day joke is almost completely garbage. The only thing you can really take from an April Fool's Day message is if they announce something silly that you thought maybe they would at some point actually do that. If it's announced on April Fool's Day, you then know for a fact that it's never going to be done, or at the very least it's not being planned to be done anytime soon. So, for instance, if they announced, just as a random example, Good vs. Evil 2 on April Fool's Day, then you could take that as an exact admission that they know they're never actually going to do Good vs. Evil 2. That wasn't announced, and they keep swearing up and down that they plan on doing that, but arguably it's hard to believe them. After your opponent plays a minion, deal 4 damage to it. That's what we need. So the only one I even saw that I would say is mentioned is there was a Senran Kagura game that that was announced for a cell phone version, and so you kind of know from that they probably aren't planning on doing any. That company's probably not making any cell phone games anytime soon.
At least I have chicken.
So let's see. Misdirection. We can play this. Minion in your hand plus 1.
They fell off a truck.
And these two are getting powered up. These are dragons though, so they won't power up that guy. And this guy's not a beast either, so I need these two beasts actually to come on the field. No! That's exactly the one guy I didn't want him to attack. Let's see. Play this. Play this. Attack here. Attack here. Since we just need to get victories, we don't actually have to deal with any of that stuff. Any specific instructions or anything. We can just try to play here as best as we can while also talking and being distracted. The biggest thing to talk about here, how did I lose? I don't even know how I lost there. That's crazy. Like, how? I'm dumbfounded. Like, this is what I'm talking about, where you just don't pay attention. Well, I don't know if this is... The biggest thing to me to talk about right now is that when I'm live streaming this spinning thing here gets content ID claimed by a company called MTG underscore TV, which is a Magic the Gathering channel that did some contest in which they played Hearthstone. I don't think having the on-screen display of the Hearthstone deck tracker helps or hurts in any way, but if anything, it's hurting. And they are just blatantly claiming any footage that has the spinning dial, that all of this belongs copyright to Blizzard, not MTG TV. Nothing on their stream belongs copyright visually to them, or audio wise either, except for an exact reproduction of those videos. So if I went and stole the videos that they had from their channel and uploaded them to my channel, that's the only thing that would claim on copyright infringement. And frankly, that's not enough to have a valid reason for them to be in the content ID system and have this particular footage in the content ID system. But somehow it got in there. Somehow they were given permission by YouTube, and this is inherently, I'm going to use that word a lot. I just got to stop using that word. This is the problem with YouTube's content ID. Every single person in it is potentially a bad actor, and most of them are bad actors. And they have no purpose to be in it. The real solution to the content ID issue is they should just stop with content ID completely. They should just make people file lawsuits in reality. That's the way it should go. Because then, if at the risk of perjuring themselves, somebody wants to file a lawsuit, you could at least take it to the step of fighting them and then having them thrown in jail for perjury, or fined for perjury, probably more realistic. But none of that's really ever going to happen, and frankly, every time somebody tries to bring a lawsuit here, they can just throw somebody under the bus and say, well, it was our employee in Malaysia that did it, so you could go sue him in Malaysia, but we're not going to, but you can't sue our corporation, or we'll settle and promise we never do it again, but if you take us, if you take this to court, we'll fight you in court forever and cost you millions of dollars. And no YouTuber has enough money or enough desire to do that. So twice now I've seen YouTube channels that say, we've got this false DMCA, an actual DMCA, not content ID, and we're going to fight it all the way to the end. And both times they've settled. It just never happens. And no precedent ever gets set because of it. And it's incredibly frustrating, and it doesn't help the YouTube community in any bigger way. So in my case, I had like 53 people watching the live stream last time, which is a majorly huge number for my channel, because most of my Hearthstone videos get 5 views. The recordings aren't a lot. My channel's very small, and so for if you're talking a 11 times the increase, not 11%, but 11 times increase from 5 views to 55, and I got 58, so that's just a rough estimate because I don't want to do the math. That's major increase, and that's increase that I see on my ad revenue, which while everybody else is complaining about YouTube ad revenue going down, for me it's a lot higher than it was. I got, in the last rolling 7 days, I got $1.10, which is still, again, ridiculous and not something you could actually live off of. Probably in very few countries could you live off $1.10, but most definitely not in the United States where I live. So there's, but compared to what I have been doing, I used to average only about 50 cents every rolling 7 days. So the fact that it's doubled is encouraging to me. And I, as a small YouTuber, am not seeing a problem there. That being said, I kind of also do agree with / believe that that YouTube has lost a lot of advertising partners. Not through anything that they really did. They are overreacting, and I think those ad partners are going to slowly trickle right back in. But right now, it kind of is a state of emergency. And a lot of people think it's for one thing or the other, but I've seen controversial channels saying it's because of controversial channels. Some of that probably is true, and YouTube is probably overreacting there. But I've also seen just Minecraft streamers saying that it's just affecting them too. And so, oddly, all around me, there are people on YouTube saying that YouTube is losing ad revenue, and as a small-time YouTuber who's trying to grow, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing growth. Now, does that mean at some point when I'll stop seeing growth and I'll plateau out? Maybe. An interesting point was certainly made that things like CNN videos are, on average, seem to only get a couple of hundred views. Major news thing like CNN doesn't have any play. And I've noticed this on some other things too. Podcasts and streams that were around probably slightly before YouTube was a big thing, and they just don't get any viewership on YouTube at all. And the argument was made to me that it's because CNN, Wall Street Journal in particular, are not getting any play on YouTube. They're not getting any views, that they've made up the story and over-exaggerated the story that YouTube is full of a bunch of disreputable people that don't deserve to have ad revenue, and they've tricked effectively the ad revenue, the advertisers into not supporting YouTube anymore, and then they're trying to get YouTube to kick out. The argument is being made, they're trying to get YouTube to kick out any competition, therefore CNN's videos would get more views. That's almost certainly not what's going to happen. If it did occur that way, what would happen instead is people would just stop using YouTube, and it would be the death of YouTube. And that would kind of suck, because I personally don't feel like trying to get to trying to get into Twitch and make money from that. And there's a lot of other problems with YouTube too. But right now, my biggest problem is Content ID. Speaking of Content ID, on April 1st, I put out a bunch of copies of old videos. That actually isn't as much a April Fool's Day joke as an experiment I'm running to see if I can get some of the videos that that people claim to own copyright on there, and then denied my fair use claim, which was valid. So I'm trying to see if these people will make the exact same decision before, potentially, unlikely, but potentially, to the point to make a point to, YouTube, potentially to even maybe make a lawsuit. The very baby beginnings of a lawsuit myself. Now I'm not saying anytime soon I'm going to sue these people, but if they decided to sue me, I'm going to say, look, you didn't even protect your own copyright the same way. You ignored fair use, which you've legally been told you have to consider once, and then you didn't ignore it the second time. Ideally, what will happen is that these people will just not bother to respond, which is often the case, and then those videos will no longer be copyrighted, and I can delete the old versions and replace the new versions. And then what I'm trying to do is get all the content ID claims off of my channel completely. None of the rejected disputes rejected fair use claims I've made are valid on my channel at all. Unless you're going to try to make the legal argument that there is no fair use at all. Every single video I've done is under fair use. It's criticism. I'm talking over it constantly. Unless you want to make the argument that you have to, that even 5 seconds, that's always the thing is 5 seconds of the audio where I'm not talking valid? Is 10 seconds, is 60 seconds, is a minute of a 3-minute audio? Is the entire audio piece fair use if you're criticizing a game that uses that audio piece? Honestly, I think all of it's valid, because assumedly when I'm playing a game and they have audio in the game, they've paid for the use of that audio, and they've created a larger piece of art. This is my perspective. So a video game is in effect a collage of other copyrighted elements. It is copyrighted 3D art, copyrighted 2D art, copyrighted sound effects, copyrighted music. All of that is collaged to create a new thing. So on that new thing, when I'm criticizing that new thing, it's fair use, and I don't have to defend fair use against each individual element, because these were licensed products in the first place. If you go the other way, then it becomes this completely unreasonable thing where somebody could own the copyright to a piece of, like, the number 1 here, the font of this one, and somebody could come back and say, we used my copyrighted font of 1, and therefore I own all the revenue here. And inherently, this is where it's all just highway robbery, is as the content ID system is just allowing people to lie and steal money from me, and they know it's fair use. So that's the biggest thing that's happening to me right now. The biggest thing that's happening in the real world, though, where regular people live, is Valve talked to Jim Sterling, Total Biscuit, and Jenna Bain. I believe it's Jenna Bain was the third person. Now, kind of effectively what this really means is Valve talked to Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit, because Jenna Bain, as best as I can figure, is the CEO of Cynical Brit and Axiom Esports, and she's probably Total Biscuit's girlfriend / wife. And we have to remember that Total Biscuit is going through chemotherapy, and he like lots of people that go through chemotherapy have chemo brain, where it's just hard to focus and it's hard to think. So I kind of almost think of Jenna Bain in this conversation as a helper to Total Biscuit, and as far as both Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling's reporting of this meeting, neither one of them really mention her other than she was in the room. They don't mention that she asks any questions. It would be kind of interesting if it turned out that she was heavily focused on Axiom Esports and was asking different questions or having different conversations than what the other two were talking about. But I bet that's not the case.
Tide rises.
At all. Let's see. Like last recording session, I talked about Jim Sterling being in Valve. I didn't know that Total Biscuit was with him at that time, and I said I didn't think he was gonna really add anything to the conversation there as far as Steam. In the most part, I don't think he probably did. I don't think any of them probably added too much to the conversation, because frankly, I would love to believe, and I honestly do believe, that Valve was already aware of it. It only looks terrible on Valve if Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit, who have been talking about the problems of Valve for years now, somehow brought up something that Valve hadn't heard, because that just means Valve wasn't listening. And see, I've got like 5 minutes to go through all of this. Now I've just run out of time. So basically what I heard, and all of this is just kind of more conversations and in progress things than things that are going to be rolled out tomorrow or a week from today or a month from today, maybe even years from today. They're going to improve Steam Discovery, which, of course, I mean, you kind of have to improve Steam Discovery, because either you do or you don't, and if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere with improving Steam at all. Part of improving Steam Discovery is they're going to try to give a lot more information, so this is the reason why you were suggested this game. Is it because it was the same style of game? Was it tagged as the same style of game that you've played a lot of? Do your friends play it a lot? Arguably, there's a problem in there that wasn't brought up, in the fact that you're limited on Steam by the number of friends you can have. It's not an extremely constrictive limit, but you really don't have the ability to just to have hundreds and hundreds of friends, and you have to level up your profile to have more friends, and leveling up your profile requires you to get medals, and getting medals requires you to get into trading cards, and trading cards are already a major problem, and that's why there's so many bad games they finally admitted. So as a secondary thing, they are going to try to get rid of what they call fake games, which is probably a bad choice of a name, since that's kind of a politically charged term now, overused term. Asset flips, low quality games, things that are just put out through Steam Greenlight. They're going to try and limit their ability to make money by somehow, and they haven't decided yet, not allowing them to get trading cards and make money off of that unless they have a certain number of players or something else like that. Something that would, like, in some way reduce their opportunity to make money. So in Valve's fantasy way of thinking, and I can only really call it that they're going to have a better discovery that hides and buries bad games. So more and more bad games are going to get hide and buried, and you're not even going to see them on the front page. And they're going to somehow make it impossible for anybody to rig the system to make money. But because they're hiding and burying bad games now, they want to be surprised with what they think are bad games, because frankly, before they let visual novels in the game, they thought all visual novels were bad games, and then once they let them in, they were really, really popular, and they gained a lot more market share, and a lot of sales through that. And frankly, there are good visual novels out there, and they're very popular in Japan. But there's also a lot of low-quality visual novels here too, and you kind of have to draw a line there that I don't think Valve knows how to draw that line. They are having a real hard time recognizing the difference, and they've said this multiple times by, I think, multiple people in Valve, that when people say low-quality asset flip bad games, in their mind they think visual novels, and I don't know why. They're completely different things. And there may be an overlap in those two circles. There may be visual novels that are low-quality asset flips, but almost certainly a visual novel is not a low-quality asset flip because it's going to, at the very least, have a lot of dialogue in it and go for quite a while. And the refund system may help a little bit there too. So to try to promote those games they think are bad games, they're going to have Steam Explorers. They're going to try to have Steam Explorers. There's going to be a project that you can sign up for, and and you will be shown a list of, like, a discovery queue of low quality games, and they're going to try and encourage you to play one and then promote it. So it's kind of for YouTubers, and potentially promote a bad thing back into the front page. This isn't too far from the suggestion I made of having two stores and having a Steam indies store where low quality games go and they're free, and there might be a coin system, and then if some of those Steam indie games become really good, they might get promoted somewhat back to the main store. The only difference between my suggestion really and what they're saying is they're not going to have two stores, which is fine. I said they should have 3 stores. Honestly, they should go into an adults only section too. To have Steam Explorers want to do any of that, they're going to be given some kind of rewards, probably a free refund per week, so you can just play a game all the way through and still get a refund, no questions asked. And they were directly told, but I'm not sure they really paid attention too much, that they have to react to bad actors that are their business partners. So people that do DMCAs, trademark claims, try to sue people, wipe their forms, that they really have to react to that stuff and take a harsh action and kick those people out of Steam if they are going to be bad actors, because they are making Valve look bad. You can't work with a bad actor and then say your company is a good company. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how reputation works. I think they need more data before they can really improve Steam's, because if it is just that I play RPGs, therefore everybody finds out they can just tag their game as an RPG and I get shown RPGs or suggested RPGs, well, that's the system we have right now. And Steam is missing things like, can I sort this by age group? There's no age grouping on any of them. You can't even really search for ESRB ratings. Sometimes they show up, but most games they don't. Can I search visual novels that have English dialogue? Full English for dialogue? No, I can't. That's another problem. Steam Direct is likely to be less than $1,000, probably $100 or around there. And frankly, they are going to try and improve Steam Curators to make that something that's actually usable. And they're working on a system that's not really going to affect too many people, where developers can give Steam keys directly through Steam instead of sending it through email. That stops people from pretending to be Jim Sterling or Total Biscuit and asking companies for free keys, which those free keys then either get used by that individual or go on G2A or some other site that sells and trades keys, and then so they're doing a small step to try and remove that. Now, they didn't mention this, but the question there is, if I get a key from a developer, then do my reviews count as a game I actually purchased? Or is it one of those other reviews that doesn't really count to the overall rating because I don't have money invested in it? I would almost certainly say it doesn't still count. That I think the idea there is clearly that they want to not count people that didn't actually financially buy the game. And still, that's a problem, because then you kind of need to go in the next direction and then say, well, did this person get this on sale, or did they get it at the full price? Or did this person get it when it was $60, or did they get it when it was knocked down to $30? And then you're effectively saying if anybody reviews it, they have to disclose how much money they spent on the game, which could affect people's taxes and incomes, and be just a disclosure of information you really don't want. But that's the level of detail you kind of would want. If the trick to getting your Steam review to actually count is to give a discount to somebody, which you probably could do. You probably could make a key that's 99.9% off, so it only costs a penny to buy the game. And then you could say, well, I bought this game, but it was a $60 game for everybody else. And then your Steam review gets back on the good reviews that count towards the overall score. Like, how do you stop that? If maybe you set a limit and you say it has to be 2 cents. Well, then they just make you pay 2 cents. Maybe you say it has to be $1. Almost certainly Steam would probably say we want you to charge at least $1 anyways. That doesn't really stop anybody. Even if you give a half off discount to the people that were reviewing, that's still an incredibly good deal for reviewers. And then you could always just go back and give kickbacks, direct kickbacks to reviewers. You could certainly say, buy this game for $60 and we'll just mail you $60. Or we'll give you a gift worth more than $60. Like, there's inherently problems here. And there I go using inherent again. Anyways, we got one victory, and this is going to be pretty long. Although, I think, if I'm going to guess, since I just wiped out probably a quarter of all my news, talking about the Valve meeting between Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling and Jenna Bain, who, frankly, I didn't know she existed at all. So I'm not watching her. Maybe I will watch it going forward, but not a ton of news happens here, and so we're probably going to end shortly, and then I'll just end up playing on by myself. Anyways, we're about 7 minutes over. That's it for this recording, but if you're watching live, stay tuned. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.